I'm Prophet Ron Dwayne Whitfield recording today on Sunday, January 2020. I just like to state this to the members of Congress and the Senate. Lately, I have been hearing people, senators, and others state what I have been stating all along, that the articles of impeachment do not state a crime against the government of the United States, against the people of the United States. People, those that are familiar with it can verify what I'm telling you. When the United States government proceeds to a trial, when the government of the United States seeks to charge a person with an offense or a crime, the lawsuit is brought in the name of the government of the United States. So it goes this way: the government of the United States, or the people of the United States, versus whomever the accused or defendant is. In order for Congress, the third or second branch of government or first branch of government, in order for Congress to hear the Senate, to hear and proceed to a judgment, these allegations of abuse of power and what was the other one? Abuse of power and abuse of Congress. The Congress has to have, I'm saying we have what is called jurisdiction, authority, power. So when you think of jurisdiction, think of power. When you think of authority, think of a right. Think of the right. So Congress gets her power to conduct an investigation. For example, first read Steele versus Citizens for a Better Environment, where the United States Supreme Court a lot touches upon the power of Congress, the power of the president, and the power of the judiciary. Steele Company versus Citizens for a Better Environment at volume 118, Supreme Court Reporter, beginning at page 1003, and the case was published in 1998. It talks about every investigation in the Congress's and every I don't remember what it is, but please read the case and you'll understand when the court is talking about jurisdiction of the federal courts. So if we were to go to, one of you all can file, or rather bring to the United States District Court a declaration, let me be very clear here. A member of Congress can file in the federal court a lawsuit seeking a declaration of judgment. What is it called? Let me slow down. A declaratory judgment. In this sense, you get the federal court or a judge to declare whether or not, if you don't believe what I'm saying, the Congress, the Senate, has a jurisdiction, and the members of the Senate, they give what is called authority to act for her antecedent to the Senate. And Senate being the upper or lower chamber of Congress, the House, the Senate, her mother, the Congress, Senate, the daughter, the House, a daughter. Does the Senate have authority to have her members, senators, to sit in trial as a jury, and does the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court have the authority as well to render a judgment? No, why not? Because the articles of impeachment do not state a crime against the United States, nor a crime as defined by the United States Constitution. It must, in order for Congress to acquire jurisdiction, to investigate and to impeach the president, it can investigate, but when we're talking about impeaching, here's the keys. But when we're talking about impeaching the president of the United States, you have to, the Congress has to have, the Senate has to have authority. The Senate doesn't have authority. You cannot impeach the president of the United States for a non-crime. It must be a crime against the United States as defined by laws. Who make laws? The Congress make laws. They pass a bill to the president of the United States. When the president signs that bill, he or she signs the bill into the law. And it therefore becomes and is law. You look at this here. So, for example, if the president kisses his wife in public, the House of Representatives, move to impeach the president, saying this is abuse of power. He's kissing his wife in public. That's disrespectful. Or whatever they want to say. And the Senate, and you're going to entertain, you don't have authority to do that. The Senate doesn't have authority to entertain anything that the House of Representatives send them by presenting it in what we call averments. The averments in an article of impeachment must allege an offense against the United States government. It must. If it do not do this, then the Senate has no authority to hear this crap, and the House of Representatives has no authority to impeach a president for a matter that is not a high crime, treason, bribery, or misdemeanor, or another federal offense. And it can't just be any offense. It has to be a high. So the federal government, we classify our federal offense such as bank robbery. Is it a class A felony, B felony, C felony, D felony? What kind of, is it high or is it a low felony? For Bay, yes, you'll need the blower. So that's another problem. So even if these allegations were to have alleged, and they do not, a crime, it's first they got to show that it is a high one. If the president of the United States committed a murder, obviously that would be a high crime. If the president of the United States committed, I don't know, I'll give me my keys, please. Okay. Thank you. I'll be over there. I should be through here shortly. Okay. All right. You got gas? Yeah, I got gas. For everything? Yeah. Okay. Amen. So again, so that's another threshold that, but this is something that you have to understand, because if you take civics and history out of the public schools, and people in this generation, which we call Generation Z or Generation Y, they don't know anything about the founding of the United States, our history as a country, how it all began, where everything that I've learned and just reading in prison, then they don't know. They just sit up here and think that Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff, that what since they're doing it, they must be able to do it because they wouldn't do this. But yes, they will, because they are banking on you to not know that they can't do this here. CNN, ABC, CBS is not, they stupid too. And even if they were not stupid, they're not going to tell you, because the billionaires that own CNN are not going to let them broadcast that to you. So it's time that we quit playing games. This is getting to be very dangerous. You talk about, if you want, you sitting up here being a Democrat, because, ooh, that's crazy. Because I wouldn't give a damn if it's my mama. If my mom is a Democrat, and if my mother is the president, or my dad is the president, but is leading me down communist, and I also know what it is. I'm so used to being in the United States, where the greatest country in the world, doing what I can do. And I ain't got enough sense to know that these people trying to take me somewhere else that I've never been. And into a whole new way of life with this new world order and this communist. But you sitting up here listening to people. You don't know that. Just like if, for example, you go into a courtroom, here come a white woman, or here come a white man, or a black man, or a black woman. Tell them, hi, the judges appointed me to represent you. And you trust this person just right off the bat because, no, that's not how you do that. Are you stupid? This lawyer has to prove to you this lawyer has your best interest. Does that make sense? So back to what I was initially crying about and arguing about. The Congress is a branch of government. The executive, where the president is a branch of government, and our judiciary is a branch of government. Only the judiciary can also, I keep telling people, they sitting up here talking about what John Hamilton or whatever his name is, say it. John Hamilton and the rest of them need to understand that let me put it this way. That may have been the case then, but when the late Chief Justice John Marshall declared at some point in the 1800s that the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government, and the judiciary declares what the law, Congress make the law. The president executes and enforces the law, signs bills into law, and the judiciary declares what the law is. On December 10, Tuesday, 1991, Ronald Dwayne Whitfield, with intent to not put out a fire, rescue a baby, but to commit a misdemeanor theft, entered a building not then open to the public, and without the effective consent of the owner, namely without any consent of any kind. If I'm thinking in the statute correctly, those acts are called burglary of a building, not to commit rape, not to commit murder, not to commit robbery, but to commit the misdemeanor crime of theft. That is a crime. That's what the Texas legislature has declared constitutes a crime. So when a court says that the defendant, stand up, Mr. Whitfield, it is the judgment of the court that the defendant, Ronald Dwayne Whitfield, who has been already convicted of the felony of burglary of a building with intent to commit theft, and the judge of this court having found the two enhancement paragraphs to be true, and having assessed your punishment at 35 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division. Then I cut it off. Then the judge will say, do you in Texas know of any reason? I'm not going to tell you what they are. There are reasons why why sentence should not be pronounced against you. Notice the punishment and sentence are not the same thing. Punishment is by death or any number of years from 2 to 99 alike. So I've assessed your punishment at 35 years. Now I need to get you to take action so that the punishment can be inflicted upon you, and I do that through an order, what we call a sentence. So if you know of no reason why I should not proceed to pronounce a sentence against you, then it is the order of this court, some say judgment of the court, that the defendant, repeat what was being said, shall be delivered to the director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division for 35 years in accordance with the laws governing said institution. You get credit for all your jail time. Good luck to you, Mr. Whitfield. That's declaring the law. He declared that's the judgment. You have been a judge, and the judgment, Texas law, article, check me out. Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 4201, Section 1, subdivision or subdivision 8 tells you that in the event of a conviction, the judgment shall reflect that it is the order that the defendant has. It is the order of the court that the defendant is a judge guilty as found by verdict of the jury or as found by the court, and that his punishment or her punishment be assessed in accordance with the verdict of the jury or the findings of the court. That's declaring the law. Only a court can declare whether or not these averments and these so-called articles of impeachment state a crime against the United States or a crime that is referenced in the Constitution of the United States. I think Article 1 or Article 2, Section 2 or Section 3, which tells you that the President of the United States shall be, when the President shall be removed from office, upon a conviction first. And for what crime? High crimes, high misdemeanors. Okay, that's what the Constitution said. But you said that he can be removed for, let me complete that thought, for a crime, but that's what the Constitution just said. The Constitution laid out bribery, treason, and one more a crime specifically named all high crimes and misdemeanors. So if the President of the United States committed murder, which would be a high crime, then he can be, upon conviction, of course, then he can or shall be removed. So now I will summarize what I've said. What I am saying that the House of Representatives, they have authority to investigate. They had authority to investigate, but they lack, the House of Representatives lack authority. They had jurisdiction. Okay, let me get it right. Congress had jurisdiction. Congress, whether it be the Senate or the House. Now, in the case of a president, the Senate doesn't have authority to investigate impeachable offenses. Only the House, they originated in the House. Now, the House of Representatives, let me keep it clear again, the Congress. And in the Congress, the House of Representatives, it has jurisdiction to investigate crimes such as what they're high crimes, misdemeanors, and so forth, for impeachable offenses. Now, the members don't have jurisdiction. No, they go and come. They get what we call authority. Police officers, they have authority to take certain action. The members of Congress have authority as a body to investigate. And they investigated. Then they voted on what they held their hearings, and they voted. They voted and they came up with 2 so-called crimes. They're not even calling them crimes because they're not. They came up with 2 articles of impeachment. 1 for kissing in public, and 2 letting the dog piss on the White House lawn. And they want to remove the President of the United States because this is abuse of power. He just because you're a president, you can't be just letting your dog run out on our lawn and urinate. So we gotta that you can't do that. He's abusing his power. But is this again? But the Constitution of the United States does not claim you. Look, man, you people got to put a stop to this foolishness. The president can only be removed from office upon conviction for a high crime or misdemeanor or high misdemeanor or bribery, treason, and one other offense. Now, nowhere in our federal laws is there a crime known as abuse of Congress. The averments must state a crime against the United States or a crime as defined by the United States Constitution. Why is nobody putting their damn foot down? Mitch McConnell don't want to throw it out as soon as he gets. Look, man, okay. Of course, what judges, Mitch McConnell can say, Mr. President, I'd like you to take judicial notice, not judicial notice. I'd like you to take, of course, judges say judicial notice. So Mitch McConnell can say to whoever this man they be calling the president in the Senate, Mr. President, I'd like for you to take congressional notice that before it happened, that the president of the United States, well, even now, I'd like for you to take judicial notice, congressional notice that the articles of impeachment do not state a crime against the United States. So from this point, then he'll go into a little detail. They do not state a high crime. They do not declare, they do not aver that the president has committed bribery, treason, or whatever, nor do they state any crime as known by the federal code, in our federal code, Title 18, any crimes in there. And so therefore, we as senators, the Senate does not have authority to hear this. Because we don't, the Congress does not have jurisdiction the Congress had jurisdiction, but sometimes